Alan's here. Good morning to you in Washington, D.C. It's great to have you on. I want to paint a big picture with you right now. Do you believe this is a situation where both can save face?
Well, no. I think the way it's being developed, Speaker Pelosi is basically aligning herself with her left wing, and I think that for her to back off will be very expensive. The president has said publicly so many times now that he won't sign anything that doesn't pay for border security, that for him to back down would be very expensive. And I think this is one of those cases where exhaustion is the only thing that's going to work. I mean, people can get anxiety-ridden. We can have massive TV coverage of every meeting. But the fact is neither side is tired enough to start moving towards an agreement. As you know, I'd advocated several weeks ago to provide a legal path for the Dreamers as part of a package that would include border security. You would think the Democrats would be very interested in trying to help 700,000 people who came here as children. But the fact is they dislike Trump a lot more than they care about young Latinos.
The Congresswoman from Michigan, Tlaib, a freshman Congresswoman, one of two Muslims elected this past election, was on camera last night at a rally and said the following. I just want to catch the end of this, and I'll phrase it in a question after this. Watch.
When your son looks at you and says, "Mama, look, you won," bullies don't win. And I said, "Baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach them."
Essentially, she says she's going to impeach him. Now, a few have filed these papers already for bills on the House side. I don't know where that goes, but instead of going at that, Mr. Speaker, explain to us what you think the relationship will be as it develops between President Trump and Nancy Pelosi. When you consider, as soon as she was sworn in yesterday, he went into the briefing room and congratulated her. How do you see this relationship developing over the next 2 years?
Well, I don't think we know yet. I think her left wing is going to be deeply, bitterly hostile to Trump. Many of her senior members chairing committees are going to be issuing all sorts of subpoenas. Her natural pattern will be to be tough. I mean, look, she's been a very, very successful politician. As you pointed out at the beginning of the show, she is the first person since Sam Rayburn 64 years ago to recover and get to be Speaker twice. So you know that she's formidable, you know she works hard, and you know she's tough. And she represents a San Francisco liberal view, which now, by the way, is no longer the left wing of her party. I mean, she's now sort of a moderate by the standard of the younger, more aggressive and more radical members. So she's sitting there thinking, what does she gain by giving in to Donald Trump? Meanwhile, the president is, I'm sure, frustrated, but he only has one. He has two tools, basically. He can veto a bill or stop it in the Senate, and he can arouse the country and convince the country. If enough people decide that they really want border security, that they really are worried about things like the illegal alien who shot the policeman in California, I think there's a point where some Democrats will start to say, look, we got to find a solution. We could be weeks away from that. This could go on easily for into February or March.
Very interesting. Another topic here. You wrote a piece at FoxNews.com about Mitt Romney's comments the other day. And well, here's the headline. It says, Newt Gingrich, according to you, why does Romney attacking Trump is smarter than offering solutions to our problems? You conclude, I hope Senator Romney gets behind the noise and learns to find common ground for the common good. What is his objective as he sets himself up as a new senator? Well, what do you think's driving it?
I think really bad advisors. I mean, you know, it's a way to make noise, but it actually isolates Mitt and puts him in a much narrower, smaller group. There was one survey that came out about a week ago that in a primary, President Trump beats him 79-7. In the Senate itself, most of the Senate Republicans probably don't regard it as very clever of a freshman before he's even sworn in to decide to attack the president of his own party. And look, Mitt's very smart. He's been a governor. He's been a very successful businessman. He could come in there and have 6 or 8 or 9 really positive ideas. He could work with people, you know, like Olympia Snowe and Lamar Alexander, people who are really good at bipartisan efforts. And he could make a real contribution. But to posture as the anti-Trump, I think it was a really narrow career path, and I just think, my guess is he has some advisors who thought it was clever, and they're going to discover that, in fact, it shrinks and isolates Romney, who's actually a much smarter and more competent person than that particular strategy.
Thank you for your time today, Mr. Speaker.